This podcast is brought to you by Renewal by Anderson of Central Pennsylvania, who wants to show you a little bit of love during this February. If you buy one window or door, you'll get another window or door for 40% off, and another $200 off your patio door project. Ooh la la. Call 717-727-7558 or drop by rbacentralpa.com/deals for more information. State lawmakers plan on introducing a bill that would require collecting DNA after an arrest. Ahead of the Super Bowl, officials are voicing concerns over sports betting. 2 preserved fetuses were sent to the Mütter Museum. Lastly, these zebras are living the good life. I'm Claudia Dimuro, and you're listening to Today in PA. State Representatives Casey Tomlinson and Joe Hogan plan on introducing a bill that would require law enforcement to collect DNA samples for anyone arrested for felonies or certain misdemeanors at the time they're having their fingerprints taken, reports NBC 10. This, explains Tomlinson, would be, quote, a key tool in making sure we keep violent offenders off of our streets and out of our neighborhoods. As it currently stands, while Pennsylvania's criminal laws allow for DNA to be collected from individuals convicted of other crimes, criminal homicides aren't classified as felonies, but under their own category. This legislation plans to undo that quote-unquote quirk, as it's called by the proposal's memorandum, along with the DNA collection, helping to, adds Tomlinson, quote, stop a repeated offender in their tracks. Pennsylvania has witnessed a rise in sports betting over the years, reports CBS local Pittsburgh. This has come with a spike in calls for help made by young men, some as young as their late teens, who found themselves in over their heads with bad bets. How bad? In some cases, as much as $100,000. Gambling addiction counselor Jody Bechtel tells CBS her practice is overbooked with younger sports bettors and gets about 10 new referrals a week. These men tend to be drawn in by how accessible sports betting apps are, with gambling just a touch of a button away on a phone they can bring with them anywhere. There's currently no legislation protecting against sports betting in Pennsylvania, and the state makes quite a profit off of it, like the $165 million it brought in last year. Officials like Bechtold and Mark Gottlieb of the Public Health Advocacy Institute are suggesting things like limits on the types of bets that can be placed during games and ensuring that people aren't gambling on credit. It's certainly something you don't expect to get in the mail every day, states Philly Voice. Or ever. The Mütter Museum in Philadelphia received a package Tuesday morning which contained a pair of glass jars. In each was a preserved fetus. The cops were called and the case was turned over to the city medical examiner's office, as it's still not yet known, as of the recording of this episode, whether the fetuses were human. It's also still unknown who sent the fetuses, as a letter found in the package was simply signed, quote, retired physician. Chrissy and Janet the zebras were bred in Texas to be hunted, begins PennLive, but no more. Since 2020, the two have been living in Speranza Animal Rescue in Mechanicsburg, which raised over $17,000 to save the pair and bring them to Pennsylvania to live the good life, hunting free. Janet and Chrissy are in good company, too, with roommates including goats, dogs, and a camel named Sir Camelot. Also, zebras aren't officially considered exotic in Pennsylvania. Did not know that. Another day, another episode. For all the latest headlines, drop by PennLive.com. Also, please don't forget to leave this podcast a rating and an honest review, too, should you feel so inclined. Thanks in advance, and as always, thanks for listening. I'm Claudia Dimuro, and I'll be back for Friday's episode of Today in PA. This podcast is brought to you by Renewal by Anderson of Central Pennsylvania, who wants to show you a little bit of love during this February. If you buy one window or door, you'll get another window or door for 40% off, and another $200 off your patio door project. Ooh la la. Call 717-727-7558 or drop by rbacentralpa.com/deals for more information.